Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party are just making things up right now. That's the simple reality. They are scared in this election because of the scandals they've faced, both recent and ongoing, and they're afraid of Jagmeet Singh's real momentum, which is putting a lot of pressure on their left flank. So if you look at a lot of their promises they've made during this election, they've been devoid of any real commitment. And because of that, the only reasonable explanation is they're proposing things that are supposedly similar to NDP policy to try to take NDP votes, to try to take NDP momentum, without actually promising the things the NDP is doing. The first is on telecoms. The first is on your cell phone and your internet bills. The NDP is going to find a way to lower those bills by putting caps on prices and basically putting more money in your pocket. I personally think the party needs to go farther and, nationalizing one of the major telecom companies, but this is a good start. The Liberals, on the other hand, have suggested that they're going to talk to companies and get them to lower their prices, and if they can't, they might introduce competition. And so it's not really a plan at all. It's basically like we're going to talk to companies and ask them pretty please to lower their prices, which of course companies probably won't do. And so Justin Trudeau's like, oh, the NDP is going to lower your phone bill? We'll do it too, but we won't commit to any way of actually making it happen. And on climate change, we have a similar thing. On climate change, the NDP has a bold Green New Deal with economic and environmental targets. I've talked about it plenty. I don't need to rehash the details here. It is the best environmental plan for Canada, especially when you factor in things like the inclusion of workers and Indigenous people. The Liberals, on the other hand, have basically said, we have a climate plan too, and we're going to have it, and it's going to be ambitious, and blah, 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 blah. But look at what Catherine McKenna, the environment minister, said about the plan. When they were asked about it, she basically said, we don't have any details, we don't have any specifics, the important thing is we have to get through this election first. That means they are lying to you. That means Catherine McKenna and Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party are lying to you. They do not have a real plan. They are going to continue to fail to meet climate goals. They are going to miss Harper's goals again, as they have already. They are going to adopt what is effectively a conservative policy, but couch it in progressive language because the Liberal Party does not care about climate change. They don't. They want the votes of people who care about climate change. They do not care. This is an attempt by them to, again, eat up NDP supporters, but not actually propose anything concrete. We have the environment minister basically saying, vote for us now and we'll figure out the details later. That means they're lying to you. That means they're lying to you. This is exactly what Doug Ford did. He says, I don't need to release a platform. I'll give out some policies here or there. And the reason he did that, because he knew his policies were BS. And if he told people his intent, people wouldn't vote for him. So he obscured and lied and became premier. And Justin Trudeau is doing what Doug Ford did. He's obscuring the actual mechanisms of his policies and his goals because he knows that progressive voters will not support it. And again, none of this is being costed. The NDP's plan has been costed by the parliamentary budget officer. The Liberals' plan hasn't. That's the reality. The Liberals are afraid to actually, offer any scrutiny to their plan from independent, neutral sources. And on pharmacare, that's another big issue. On pharmacare, the Liberals have promised something of a plan with very little details, and they've promised a costing which is far below what the Parliamentary Budget Office has suggested. And so whereas the NDP has this, thought out, researched, detailed plan, the Liberals have this non-committal approach where they'll quote-unquote negotiate with the provinces. And so Justin Trudeau is doing something very clever here. Maybe clever, maybe cynical, depending on your perspective. He's basically saying we're going to commit some money to pharmacare and it's going to be contingent upon negotiations with the provinces. And you know what's going to happen, right? He's lowballing you on pharmacare because he doesn't expect it to happen. He's going to use Doug Ford and Jason Kenney as the excuse for why pharmacare doesn't happen. And Justin Trudeau will run on pharmacare, and if he wins, he will not implement it. He is lying to you. He is lying to you about fixing your telecom prices. He is lying to you about climate change. He is lying to you about pharmacare. He's lying to you about all of these progressive promises because he has no intention of keeping them whatsoever. And he will use these weasel words. He'll give plans without committals. He'll give plans that are so broad that under any interpretation he could say he kept his promise. Or he'll make promises that are quote unquote, based on negotiation, meaning that if he wants, he can point to one premier who was a bit obstinate and then, say the deal is off. And I'm sorry, Canadians, it's Doug Ford's fault you don't have pharmacare, when he never intended to implement it in the first place. This is Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party. This is the party that promised electoral reform and lied. This is the party that promised justice for Indigenous people and lied. This is the party that promised that public servants would be treated differently. And for the most part, he lied. Justin Trudeau wants your vote, but he doesn't want to actually implement your vision. He wants that broad anti-conservative part of the electorate to come to him. But he hasn't done anything to earn it or to keep it. So that's why he's taking NDP promises. But again, he's not offering NDP promises. He's offering the veneer of NDP promises. But if you just scratch a little bit, you notice that it's all BS. That it's all weasel words. That I can guarantee you that if Justin Trudeau wins another election, there won't be any action on telecom prices. There won't be pharmacare. There won't be, a legitimate, real deal climate plan. There won't be any of that. That's not the goal. Justin Trudeau needs your vote, and then he'll tell you to F off. That's what he did in 2015, and that's what he's planning to do in 2019. But Jagmeet Singh is offering real details on all of these fronts. You may not agree with Jagmeet Singh. You may not agree with him on every issue. But Jagmeet Singh is giving you what Jagmeet Singh is and what his NDP is trying to be, right? Taxing the rich to pay for the programs we need. Pharmacare, costed. Dental care, costed. A climate plan with real deal climate and economic goals. A plan to deal with telecoms, whether it's sufficient or not. It's there. This is the NDP. And the Liberals are getting desperate. They're getting scared. They're trying to hold you hostage on the one hand and steal NDP ideas without actually stealing them on the other. We have to see through this cynical attempt from this cynical government and vote in Jagmeet Singh and the NDP, who will bring the progressive change Canadians wanted in 2015 and the progressive change they still deserve in 2019.